everybody, I'm BC Begley, and these are your news headlines for September 21st, 2022. The New York Attorney General files civil fraud lawsuit against Trump, some of his children, and his businesses. New York State Attorney General filed a sweeping lawsuit on Wednesday against former President Donald Trump, 3 of his adult children, and the Trump Organization itself, alleging they were involved in an expansive fraud lasting over a decade that the former president used to enrich himself. Trump and his children, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Ivanka Trump, are named as defendants in the lawsuit. Alan Weisselberg, former CFO for the Trump Organization, and Jeff McConney, another longtime company executive, are also named. Putin initiates conscription to bolster military invasion as Ukraine mounts counteroffensive. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a partial mobilization in Russia, which will require citizens to join the war effort in Ukraine. He also warned Western nations not to attack Russia's territories, which would be met with swift retaliation. Putin's address on Wednesday comes as Russia's invasion reaches nearly 7 months and amid a successful counteroffensive by Ukraine's military. Fiona grows into a Category 4 storm and is now heading towards Bermuda. Hurricane Fiona strengthened into a Category 4 storm on Wednesday after devastating Puerto Rico, then lashing the Dominican Republic and the Turks and Caicos Islands. It was forecast to squeeze past Bermuda later this week. The storm has been blamed for directly causing at least 4 deaths in its march through the Caribbean, where winds and torrential rain in Puerto Rico left a majority of people on the U.S. territory without power or running water. Hundreds of thousands of people scraped mud out of their homes following what authorities described as historic flooding. The first special master hearing began with chaos as callers left unmuted saying "America the Beautiful" and told each other to shut up over garbled white noise. The opening of Special Master Raymond Deary's inaugural hearing sounded like a garble of white noise, as technical difficulties marked the start of the highly consequential proceeding. Staff in the Brooklyn courtroom scrambled to get the audio right, as the volume for all audio callers was left unmuted, leading to a shouting match in the early moments of the hearing before serious national security matters were discussed. After the chaos at the hearing, Deary pressed former President Donald Trump's lawyers about their arguments they had already declassified documents that were taken to Mar-a-Lago. A man sets himself on fire in an apparent protest of Japanese leader Abe's funeral. A man set himself on fire near the Japanese Prime Minister's office in Tokyo on Wednesday in an apparent protest against the state funeral planned next week for former leader Shinzo Abe, officials and media reports said. The man, believed to be in his 70s, sustained burns on large parts of his body, but was conscious and told police that he set himself on fire after pouring oil over himself. The Kyodo news agency reported that a note was found with him that said, quote, "Personally, I am absolutely against Abe's funeral." Hong Kong police arrest man who played harmonica at the Queen's vigil on suspicion of sedition. A man was arrested in Hong Kong on suspicion of sedition after playing the harmonica at a vigil for Queen Elizabeth II, under a colonial-era law that once outlawed insulting the Queen and has now been revived by authorities amid an ongoing crackdown. Videos posted to social media showed hundreds of people gathering outside the city's British consulate on Monday night to pay tribute to the Queen as her funeral took place in London, an event heavy with political significance in the former British colony, where mourning the monarch has become a subtle form of protest. Hundreds of whales stranded on Australian shore. More than 200 whales have been found stranded in Australia on the western shore of Tasmania, wildlife officials said. The animals, which appear to be pilot whales, are currently stranded on a beach and a sandbank, the Tasmanian Parks and Wildlife Service said in a statement that was issued on Wednesday. Quote, "Early reports estimate that about half of the animals are still alive," the statement added. China softens Taiwan rhetoric as U.S. and Canadian warships sail through the strait. China is willing to make the utmost effort to strive for a peaceful reunification with Taiwan, a Chinese government spokesperson said on Wednesday, following weeks of military maneuvers and war games by Beijing near the self-ruling island. The comments came a day after the United States and Canadian warships sailed through the Taiwan Strait in their second joint transit in less than a year. The Dow rises 100 points as Wall Street braces for Fed rate hike decision. Stocks rose Wednesday as investors awaited another likely interest rate hike from the Federal Reserve as it fights to tame surging inflation. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 155 points, or 0.51%. The S&P 500 climbed 0.58%, and the Nasdaq Composite added 0.47%. Short-term interest rates were also surging in anticipation of the Fed's supersized hike, with the yield on the 2-year Treasury Wednesday morning topping 4% for the first time since 2007. NASA astronaut and Russian cosmonauts launched to space. A Russian capsule took an American astronaut to space today, marking a notable continuation of the Russian-United States partnership in space in an era of great geopolitical tension. The spacecraft took off from Kazakhstan, carrying NASA astronaut Frank Rubio and 2 Russian cosmonauts on what is expected to be a 6-month stay on the International Space Station. Free to express their Satanism. Satanic clothing now okay at Pennsylvania school district. A school district in Delaware County previously banned kids from dressing in satanic clothing. As of this school year, that's changed. Philadelphia Magazine reports how the Garnet Valley School District's dress code previously prohibited, quote, clothing displaying alcohol, drugs, tobacco, weapons, violence, obscenities, lewd or illegal behavior, sexual overtones, satanic or cult references, double meanings, or any reference that is disruptive to the educational environment. However, come the 2022-2023 school year, the satanic cult references has been scrubbed from the list. Quote, Garnet Valley students are now free to express their Satanism on equal footing alongside their fellow students of every other religion, reads a statement from the Satanic Delco representative. Quote, thank you to those at the school district who eventually made the right choice to remove the discriminatory language. A man in custody after Washington Monument vandalized with red paint. A man was taken into custody after the Washington Monument was vandalized with red paint late Tuesday, police said. The United States Park Police issued an alert on Twitter saying the suspect had been apprehended. It was not immediately clear whether he will face any charges. The area around the base of the Washington Monument was temporarily closed following the incident as National Park Service conservators look to restore the statue. And those are your news headlines for September 21st, 2022.